There is a question people almost never ask themselves, even though it determines most financial outcomes. What would guarantee that I stay poor? People prefer to ask how to get rich. That sounds optimistic. It feels ambitious. But the truth is that avoiding failure is far more reliable than chasing success. This way of thinking has guided most of my decisions, and it becomes especially important once you cross the first real threshold of savings, $20,000. Below that number, mistakes are often forced. Above it, mistakes become optional, and optional mistakes are the most dangerous kind because they feel justified. When someone finally accumulates a meaningful buffer, they often relax in exactly the wrong way. They stop defending their position. They start assuming progress is inevitable. It is not. Progress is fragile. I have watched people do everything right for years and undo it in months, not because something terrible happened, but because nothing terrible happened. Calm created carelessness. This is why I believe inversion is such a powerful mental tool. Instead of asking what you should do to build wealth, ask what behaviors would guarantee failure. Spend more than you earn. Use debt to fund lifestyle instead of productivity. Borrow to invest. Chase returns you do not understand. Tie your identity to outcomes you cannot control. Allow envy to dictate behavior. Interrupt compounding unnecessarily. If you avoid these things consistently, you dramatically increase your odds of success without ever needing brilliance. At the $20,000 stage, these dangers intensify. The money feels significant enough to act on, but not large enough to absorb large errors. This is the narrow bridge where many people fall. One of the most common failures here is leverage. Leverage is seductive because it feels like intelligence. It feels like using the system. But leverage is unforgiving. It compresses time and eliminates margin. When things go wrong, they go wrong fast. I have always said that there are 3 ways for a smart person to go broke: liquor, ladies, and leverage. The last one is the most reliable. You can be wrong many times without leverage and survive. With leverage, being wrong once can end the game. $20,000. Survival is still the objective. Another guaranteed failure path is complexity. People believe complexity equals sophistication. In finance, complexity usually means fees, misunderstandings, and overconfidence. Simple systems endure stress better than complex ones. A portfolio that requires constant attention is not a portfolio. It is a second job. The more moving parts you introduce, the more opportunities there are for error. Error compounds negatively. Simplicity is not ignorance. It is respect for human limitations. Humans get tired. Humans get emotional. Humans get distracted. Your financial system must work even when you are not at your best. This is why broad ownership, low costs, and long holding periods work so well for so many people. They remove decision points. Fewer decisions mean fewer mistakes. Another failure mechanism that appears at this stage is self-pity. Self-pity feels justified. Life is hard. The system feels unfair. Others seem to advance faster. But self-pity is corrosive. It turns energy inward and paralyzes action. I have seen people with enormous potential stagnate because they spent too much time resenting circumstances instead of adapting to them. The world does not reward resentment. It rewards persistence. Persistence is boring. It does not make good stories. But it works. At $20,000. Persistence should be paired with vigilance. Vigilance means watching your behavior more closely than your balance. It means noticing when relief turns into complacency. It means recognizing when boredom tempts you to act. Boredom is a dangerous emotion in finance. Bored people trade. Bored people spend. Bored people change plans that do not need changing. If you feel bored, it usually means your system is working. That is not a signal to interfere. It is a signal to leave it alone. I want to talk about the idea of being consistently not stupid. Most people try to be very smart. They chase clever strategies. They want to outthink the market. But intelligence is uneven. Judgment under pressure is rare. Being consistently not stupid is a far more achievable goal. Not stupid means avoiding leverage. Not stupid means keeping expenses below income. Not stupid means holding cash reserves. Not stupid means staying within your circle of competence. Not stupid means admitting what you do not know. These behaviors do not make headlines. They make results. Now let me explain why this stage is emotionally difficult, even for disciplined people. When you have $20,000, you are no longer desperate, but you are also not comfortable. You are in between. You can see a better future, but you cannot touch it yet. This creates impatience. Impatience whispers that you should accelerate, that you should take a shortcut, that you should prove something. Resisting this impulse is one of the most valuable skills you can develop, because once you pass this stage intact, the terrain changes. Returns begin to contribute meaningfully. Your margin widens. Mistakes become less damaging. Time starts working for you instead of against you. But you only reach that point if you do not sabotage yourself early. I also want to say something uncomfortable about consumption. Consumption is enjoyable. There is nothing wrong with enjoying life, but consumption financed by fragility is anxiety disguised as pleasure. The pleasure fades, the anxiety remains. Consumption financed by stability feels different. It does not carry guilt. It does not create fear. The difference is timing at $20,000. Most consumption upgrades are premature. They increase burn without increasing resilience. They trade future freedom for present comfort. Freedom is more valuable. Freedom means being able to wait for the right job instead of taking the first one. Freedom means walking away from bad deals. Freedom means choosing partners carefully. Freedom means saying no without panic. Money does not create character. It reveals it. If you use your first buffer to increase flexibility, you will likely use future wealth. Well, if you use it to increase appearances, you will likely struggle no matter how much you earn. That pattern repeats. I have seen people earn extraordinary incomes and remain fragile because they never built margin. And I have seen people with modest incomes build durable wealth because they protected it fiercely. The difference was never intelligence. It was behavior. If you want a rule that works across decades, here it is. Do not interrupt compounding unless you absolutely must. Compounding is doing most of the work. Your job is to avoid stopping it. Every unnecessary sale reduces future growth. Every emotional decision taxes the system. This is why patience is not passive. It is active defense. $20,000. Defense is the entire game. You are not trying to win yet. You are trying not to lose. And not losing over long periods is how most people quietly win. One final observation helps tie all of this together. People often believe that financial success comes from boldness. In reality, it comes from consistency. Consistency creates outcomes. Consistency is built through habits, not heroics. If your habits are simple enough to maintain under stress, you will outperform people with more complex plans. Stress reveals systems. Simple systems survive. At this stage, you should be building habits that you can follow for decades, saving regularly, living below your means, avoiding unnecessary risks. These habits do not change when your net worth grows. They scale. The people who succeed long-term do not suddenly become different people. They become more of what they already were. That is why the first $20,000 is such a powerful test. It reveals whether you will protect what you build or consume it. If you pass this test, the rest becomes much easier. Not easy, but easier. Time will help you. Arithmetic will help you. Discipline will feel less forced. But only if you make it past the point where most people fail. Quietly, repeatedly, predictably. There is no secret ending. There is no final trick. There is only the long result of many small decisions made correctly over time. If you want to know whether you are on the right path, do not look at your balance tomorrow. Look at whether your system is easier to follow than it was a year ago. Ease is a sign of alignment. Alignment is a sign that your financial life supports your real life, not the other way around. That is the outcome worth pursuing, and it starts by not destroying the first thing you worked so hard to build.